Okay students, let's see on how to determine VAT and markup accordingly, because this will help us when we're doing the subsidiary journals. So we'll be focusing on question 1. Here it is. So we'll be focusing on number 1 in order to determine the cost price exclusive of VAT and inclusive of VAT together with the markup, going straight to the selling price exclusive of VAT and the VAT on selling price together with the selling price inclusive of VAT. You must be able to calculate an amount without VAT, and you must be able to calculate amount with VAT. You must be able to determine your selling price coming from your cost price and be able to calculate your cost price coming from your selling price. So okay, how do we do this? Remember, we're using 15% rate for VAT calculations. So in this case, number 1, we are given 488 rand as a cost price exclusive of VAT, meaning that all amounts in this column, they are without VAT, and all amount in this column, they are with VAT, meaning that from here they added VAT amount in order to get the amounts in here. So we'll start completing this part before we can jump to this other part, because jumping into this other part it needs us to focus on the markup. So now let's focus on VAT and then we'll focus on the markup. Now we are given a cost price exclusive of VAT. This amount doesn't have VAT. We must add VAT and result to cost price exclusive of VAT. So there's two ways in order to determine this amount. It's either we calculate the VAT first and then add the VAT amount into the initial amount to get the cost price exclusive of VAT, or we're going to multiply the VAT amount plus the 100% of this amount to get this amount straight. I'll show you on how it works. Let's see the first step. The first step, we are given 488 rand. The VAT percentage is 15, so 15% of this amount is 73.2. so since it's 73.2, we must get the final answer. How do we get the final answer? We take back the 488, we add the 73.2, which is 561. This 561 is a cost price inclusive of VAT, because we have added the 73.2 to get a 561. So in easiest way, since you know we've done 488 as 100%, that means you can add 15% on 100%, which results to 115. So 115 divided by 100 multiplied by the 488, it gives us the cost price inclusive of VAT, the 561. Same time, so it's either you go the longest way or you go the easiest way. And remember, this is going forward, it's from your cost without VAT going to the cost with VAT. So if ever, let's say for example, you are given 561 as an amount with VAT or a cost price inclusive of VAT, they want you to work back to get the 488. It's either you're going to say 561 you multiply by, since you're looking for 100% inside 115%, because this amount represent 115%, so this one will automatically give you 488. Or you take these two, you punch by the calculator, it's going to give you 1,15, and then you take this amount, you divide by 1,15, it will give you 488. This is working what? Working from the cost price with VAT going to the cost price without the VAT amount. So it's either you do it this way straight to the answer, or you do it the longest way straight to the answer. In this case, if ever you want to determine the VAT amount, because this is only about original price, you're going to say multiply by, you want the 15% inside 115. This will definitely give you a 73.2. Let's confirm with the calculator. We're going to say 561 multiplied by 15 over 115. It's 73.177, so which is 73.2 percentage. So okay, let's move. I hope you understand the first part. In order to get this amount, you must calculate VAT first, and then you add it back to get the cost price inclusive of VAT, or you punch it with the 115 over 100. It gives you straight answer. Okay, what's happening on the markup part? If they say on cost price or on selling price, if they say on cost price, they are referring to this cost price. It's 100% because they're saying on cost price, and always your selling price must be more than the cost price by 50% or the given percentage of markup, which means that your selling price, both exclusive and inclusive, must be 150% against the 100% of the cost price, meaning that each and every time when you calculate, if you use this column to calculate the selling price, you're going to get this column because it's exclusive against exclusive. If you use this one inclusive, the answer that you can get is this one, since this part is inclusive. So bear in mind, if you use exclusive, you're calculating exclusive as well this side. If you're using inclusive, you're calculating inclusive as well. So how do we go with this one? Here it is. You are given the 488 as a cost price, so you're going to multiply by 150 against the 100%. 100% is this amount, so it will give you 732. So this is an amount or selling price exclusive of VAT. Since you use this amount without VAT, if ever you use this one, the 561, you are going to get more than this, which is your selling price inclusive of VAT. So since we use this one, it means we automatically get exclusive of VAT. After getting this amount, this 732 is an amount which must be recorded here, selling price exclusive of VAT. And once we have this one, we can calculate the VAT amount using the 15%. After getting the VAT amount, we plus the 2. It gives us the selling price exclusive of VAT. How do we? We take the 73.2, we multiply by 15, we divide by 100, we get 109.8, which is the VAT amount. Therefore, the selling price inclusive of VAT is going to be your exclusive of VAT plus your VAT amount. We'll get your 842. 842 is an amount that must be disclosed here, which means if ever you have the 842, you can still work back to get these two amounts. You take this thing, you apply this kind of method where you can divide by 1.15, or you can multiply by 15 divide by 115, or you can multiply by 100 divide by 115, and you determine those amounts. Hopefully this can ring a bell on your ears. Okay, let's check number 2. Number 2, we are given a selling price exclusive of VAT. If you can be able to work with figures on line number 1, you can even work on figures on line number 2 going downward. If you're given this one, the 99,000, this is a selling price with VAT. There's VAT amount inside this amount, and there's original amount without VAT. Since these two, when they're added together, they form this amount. So there's this amount, there's this amount as well. How can you? You can multiply this amount by 15 divide by 115. You'll get your VAT amount. You take your VAT amount, you subtract from this amount, you get your amount without VAT. Or you can divide this amount by 1.15 and you result on your original price. Therefore, come here, selling price, its on selling price. This amount is 100% because they're saying it's on selling price. That's why they give you this side. They won't give you this side sometimes. If they do, they want you to play with figures. How do you do? Since selling price 100%, you know cost price must be less than 100%. So if you use this amount to calculate cost of sales or cost price, you're going to get this column. Since this amount is on this column, your selling price. How do you? You can first, you must know selling price must be more than the cost price by this percentage. So you can take 100% and subtract 44%. You remain with 56%. So this amount multiplied by 56% of 100, it will give you your cost price here with that. And then you do the same I mean referring to this kind of formula, because now you're working back. You can use the amount that will be in here to determine this amount in here. Going further again, here you're given selling price exclusive of VAT. You calculate 15%, you put it here, you plus the 2, you put it here. You can use this one to determine here, or you can use this one to determine here using this formula of markup, 30% on selling price. Same going down. So in this case, just try to complete this question 1 on your own and play with figures. Whatever you don't understand, just pick it up, note it down, and you'll ask me on how do we do it. As for question 2, they didn't specify on the markup score which are we using, on cost price or on selling price, so it might be a problem in regards to calculations. I don't remember whether if they didn't specify use on selling price or what. But then as for question 1, you can play with figures, understand number 1, and be able to use the figures that you determine to get this figure. Make it as a proof. If ever you calculated here and here and here, also in here, use these 4 figures 1, 2, 3, 4 together with the VAT percentage and the 15% to determine this amount. If you can get it using these other figures, meaning that your calculations are nearly correct or are truly correct. So just get to understand these VAT calculations and understand the markup calculations, so that each and every time when you account for this kind of transaction under subsidiary journal, you'll be able to calculate VAT, meaning you'll be able to add VAT on top of the amount and to get rid of VAT inside a certain amount, and be able to determine cost of sales both when you're given cost price or selling price. So hopefully this you will understand the nature of the VAT and the markup, so that we can easily go to subsidiary journal and then see how does it work. Thank you at that point.